name is Brianna, and in today's video, I wanted to tell you guys how I made over £1,000 this holiday season just by doing pet sitting. So, as some of you guys may know, I am a pet sitter. I'm an animal lover. I love dogs and cats especially, and I use apps like Rover, Pawshake, and I even get direct bookings to do cat drop-in visits, dog walks, house sitting. Like, I'm actually doing a house sit right now for a dog. It can be a very lucrative side hustle or even full-time business for some, and I just wanted to tell you guys the story of kind of how I got into it, how I made this much money. I'm not exaggerating. I made over £1,000 just by playing with cats, walking dogs, just by being around animals. And that is the dream, honestly. It is the dream. I love it so much. I love the side hustle. And if I can do it, you guys can too. If you love animals, if you want to make a side hustle or even potentially a full-time business out of walking dogs and playing with cats, then stay tuned for how I did it. So before we get into this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoy, subscribe for more videos like this, and click that bell icon to get notified every time I post a video. Alright, so this video is going to be separated into little chunks. I have my laptop here as I have some notes. I'm going to tell you guys how I got started with this pet sitting business, the apps that I use, my services, how I price myself, how you can get more bookings, and the juicy part, my earnings, how much I made in just 1 month. Spoiler alert, I made over £1,000 in December 2023 alone, which is kind of a lot. It's just because it's the holiday season and a lot of people are going away on vacation and they need someone to check in on their cat or dog. The holiday season is high season for me, and it's the season where you can make the most money. All right, so let's get into the first part, how I got started. So I've always had a love of animals. I've always grown up with dogs. I had a dog named Speedy. He was this little white fluffy dog that I loved so much, and sadly he wasn't around for much, but he was there during my childhood. And then a few years later we got a dog named Cheeto, which if you have seen my earlier vlogs, you've probably seen Cheeto. I love him so much. He's the joy of our family. He lives with my family in Nicaragua, and I'll be going to see them in a few months. I'm so excited to see him. But he is a 10-year-old Chihuahua Jack Russell mix. I've always grown up around dogs, not so much cats, but dogs I've had a lot of experience with walking them, feeding, playing with them, taking care of them. Anything to do with dogs, I am pretty experienced, and that experience growing up with dogs really helped my pet sitting business. I never grew up around cats. I didn't really have any friends who had cats that I would look after, so I really had no experience going into this pet sitting business with cats. But you do learn very quickly, and if you love animals, then there's no reason why you can't get started with taking care of cats as well. So number 1 was my big love of pets, especially dogs. Number 2 is I'm a huge fan of side hustles and making money in different ways. As a teenager, as a 16, 17-year-old, I was always researching, different side hustles online, different side hustles in person, ways to make a little bit of extra money on the side. And I came across being a dog walker or pet sitter on apps like Rover and Pawshake. I looked into it, and pretty much anyone can become a pet sitter if you love animals and if you have experience with animals. Those are pretty much the only 2 criteria. You don't need a license, you don't need anything besides a passion and love for animals and a few reviews on your profile just to get started. So when I was either 16 or 18, I'm not sure the exact age, but the age where you had to be to sign up for Rover, which is the app that I've used. I signed up to Rover and I completed my profile. I got my family and friends to put a few reviews on my profile of how I took care of my dog and how I've walked a few other dogs in the neighborhood and my friends' dogs as well. You have to go through a background check, you put photos on your profile, you write your description, you do all of the steps that you need to do to set up your profile, and then your profile goes under review. The Rover team will look at it and decide whether or not you're fit to be a pet sitter. I don't remember the exact process, I don't remember how long it took, but I got approved and I've been a pet sitter ever since 2018, I believe. So that's almost 8 years now, as it's 2024 in a few days. So that's almost 8 years now. Yeah, I've never looked back. I mean, I use Rover for most of my pet sitting bookings, and I've used a few other apps, which I will get into a little bit later. But I found that Rover is the most reliable and the most popular app in all of the cities that I've done pet sitting for. So I have been in Toronto, Canada. That's where I got started, in my hometown. I did a few drop-in visits for a few cats and a few dog walks as well in Toronto. When my family and I was on the move from Toronto to Nicaragua, we were staying in a few different cities in Ontario before we moved. So I tried out Rover in a few of those cities. I had one booking in Peterborough, Ontario, I believe, and I might have had some other bookings in other cities. But the main cities is where you'll get the most clients. So Toronto, Canada, and right now I live in London. I've gotten the most amount of bookings in London that I've gotten anywhere else that I've used this app. It really just depends on your location and the demand for pet sitters and the amount of people who are using the app. Which, I mean, it makes sense. If you live in a small town, if you live in a country where Rover is not supported or the app's not supported, obviously, you won't get any bookings from there. That is pretty much how I got started doing pet sitting with these apps, and also eventually getting direct bookings. So I would recommend Rover or any of the apps that I'm about to talk about to anyone who loves animals and wants to get started with a side hustle business. Let's get into the apps that I use. First off, and the biggest app that I use is Rover, obviously. That's where I got started, and that's where you're most likely going to find most of your clients. And I think that Rover is just the most reliable, the most user-friendly in terms of the app and the website and how you're paid out, all of that. There are also a few other apps. There's one called Pawshake, which is similar to Rover, but I find that their app and their website are not as user-friendly. Not as many people use Pawshake, and I believe Pawshake is only available in Europe. Pawshake, I've had a few bookings in London, but in no other city. Then there's also an app called Cat in a Flat, which I have gotten one booking for last Christmas. I am not a fan of the app at all. I wouldn't recommend it, although they're really trying to expand their presence and their marketing. As I've seen on the London Underground, there's been a few billboards for it. Even in my HelloFresh box, there's been an ad for it. But there are quite a few downsides to Cat in a Flat. First off, it's very un-user-friendly. It's worse than Pawshake. It's not very good. It's not very clear how to message the owners and actually get bookings on there. Although I did get one booking, they took so much money from it. Usually apps will take between 10 and 20% of your earnings, which makes sense. Most apps do. I mean, unless you go direct, you're not going to get all of the money. Cat in a Flat took about 30% of my earnings. I believe I was supposed to make about £300 for this one person. I was taking care of her cat and her 5 chickens. She had chickens in her backyard, which was really funny, but it was so fun to look after them. I looked after them for about 2 weeks. I was supposed to get around £300 in total, and I got maybe 190 or 220 or something like that. I'll put the amounts on the screen here if I do find how much I actually earned from that app. I do remember having to email the Cat in the Flat team being like, when am I going to receive my earnings? Because it was a few weeks after and I haven't received anything. So I wouldn't recommend Cat in the Flat. I still have my profile up, and I received a message earlier this month for a booking, but I wasn't available. The last and final app that I would highly recommend, but for a different purpose, is Trusted House Sitters. I love Trusted House Sitters, although my account has been deactivated for over a year now. Trusted House Sitters is a pet sitting app. It's a house sitting app mostly, and it is very different from Rover, Pawshake, Cat in a Flat. It's very different because both you and the owners pay one membership fee for the year. So I believe it's over 100 Canadian dollars for the house sitter. You pay one membership for the year, and with this app, you basically get to travel anywhere in the world that house sitting is available. So owners who are going on vacation or who are looking to have someone stay at their house and take care of their pets, they will list their house on this app. You can browse anywhere in the world that you want to travel to. It's basically like a swap for free. So you go and you stay at that person's house for free, and you take care of their pets. So it could be cats, dogs, rabbits, horses, pigs, it could be anything. You take care of their pets for free. They let you stay at their house. And it's basically a free exchange, but you get so much out of it. So I used this app when I first came to London, and I also used it in a few cities throughout Europe while I was traveling. And it is so worth it, let me tell you. You get free accommodation. And if you love animals, it's a win-win-win situation for everyone. The owner gets peace of mind that you're taking care of their house and their pets, and you send them updates every day or every few days. And you get to travel anywhere in the world. You don't pay for accommodation, and you get to take care of pets. And it's amazing. It was a savior for me when I moved to London last year. In August, September, October in London, I used Trusted House Sitters, and there were so many people going away on vacation that I was able to line up the dates exactly. So I had, let's say, one house sit for a week that ended on a Sunday. And then I was able to find another house sit that started that Sunday. So I had multiple weeks in a row where I was moving from house to house to house in London, free accommodation, and it went amazingly. I would highly recommend this app to anyone who's looking to travel and wants free accommodation. It is so worth the membership fee. It's a 1-year fee. I'll put the prices right here because they have very likely changed since I've been on that app. Even if you don't have membership, you can browse all of the available places. And I'm thinking about using Trusted House Sitters again when I go traveling next year because it is just an amazing way to explore new places and get free accommodation. So I will leave the link for Rover and Trusted House Sitters in the description below, and you can actually use my code to sign up. So those are all the apps that I use. Next, I want to talk about the services that I provide. I have my laptop right here. I'm going to show you the services that I provide. On Rover and most other apps, you can provide these services. You can do boarding, which is basically you get a cat or dog or another animal comes to your house and you take care of them in your house and you charge them per day or per night. You can do house sitting, which I'm actually doing right now, which is where you go and you stay at somebody's house overnight or for a few nights or a few weeks, however long they need you to. You stay at their house, so you're there all the time. You don't leave the animals alone for too long, and they just get peace of mind that you are staying in their house and taking care of everything. Then you can do drop-in visits, which I do all the time, and I actually have 5 drop-in visits scheduled for today. Drop-in visits are basically where you go, and on Rover it can be either 30 minutes or an hour. Drop-in visits, you go and take care of the pet, whether it's a dog or cat or other pet. I mostly do it for cats, so I go in, I feed them, give them water, play with them, change their litter box, and take photos and videos and update the owner how the cat is doing. Next, you can do doggy daycare. Doggy daycare is basically where the owners, I don't do doggy daycare, so I'm not entirely sure if this is right, but from my understanding, doggy daycare is where the owners will bring their dogs to you for the entire day. You'll take care of them, you'll take them on walks, you'll play with them, feed them, whatever, and they might hang out with other dogs as well. And then the last one, which I do as well, is dog walking. Pretty self-explanatory. You take the dog on a 30-minute or hour walk. You also take photos, videos, update the owner for how the walk went. And yeah, that is all of them. So I do house sitting, drop-in visits, and dog walking. I make quite decent money during the holiday season, especially in the summer and in the winter near Christmas. Those are all of the services that I provide and that you can provide while on these apps. Next, I'm going to talk about how to price yourself. How do you know how much to charge for, let's say, for dog walking or for house sitting or drop-in visits? How much do you price yourself, especially as a beginner? So we are going to look in my area for the sitters. I'm going to show you what my Rover looks like and the different prices for the people around my area. So Everywhere in the world is going to look a bit different. I live in the big city. I live in London, so I feel like the prices are a little bit higher just because the cost of living is higher, which makes total sense. If you're trying to decide how to price yourself, I would recommend two things. First, as a beginner, you're going to want to look at other people's prices. So depending on what services you want to offer, let's say you want to offer drop-in visits, one drop-in visit a day in your area. Let's see what other people will price themselves at. And also keep in mind that as a beginner, you might want to go a little bit lower than the competition, just because if you don't have a lot of reviews on your profile and if you have no previous bookings on your profile, people may not want to pay you as much, which does make sense, and that's how I got started. I looked at what other people in the area were pricing themselves at, and I priced just a little bit lower. I got a few bookings under my belt, and then I was able to increase my prices. Now I get paid what I think is a fair amount, and pretty much the same as what everyone else in my area is charging. So let's say we want to do drop-in visits. My address is just going to be London. One time, no repeats. Let's say we want to do drop-in visits. Let's look at January because December is a really high month, and you can also have peak rates, which I believe today, tomorrow, and Boxing Day. So December 24th, 25th, and Boxing Day, I think Rover automatically puts peak rates up. So that means that it's a busier time of year. It's a little bit harder to get people to do pet sitting, so you'll earn more money during the holidays, which is amazing. So let's say we want to do drop-in visits, I don't know, Friday, January 5th, and end date will be the 5th. Let's look for one drop-in visit. These are basically all of the people that are available in my area. You can see London is very wide. There's so many different places in London that you can go to, but most people are doing £15 or £14 a visit, which I do £15 per visit, which is in line with the competition. So you can see Star Sitter here. You can see if they have repeat bookings. You can see the reviews. And there's one person that does £50 per visit, which I don't understand how you can charge that much. But a lot of people do around 15 is the highest per visit, which is what I charge. So that's perfect. So just look at the competition, look at what they're offering, how many years of experience, repeat bookings. This person has 1 year of experience and no reviews, and he's charging £11 per visit. You're going to go a little bit lower than the competition and then raise your prices as time goes by, as you get more bookings and more reviews. All right, so for example, let's also look at house sitting for, let's say, December 26th until December 29th. It's probably going to be peak rates, but let's see. So you can see their per night rate, £35 per night, £48 per night, £41 per night, and you can see the reviews again. Oh, some of them charge quite a lot, £74 a night, which is quite a lot. I charge somewhere in the middle of all of these. That is pretty much how you price yourself. And if you want to get reviews on your profile, if you want to look a little bit more credible as a first timer, you should ask your friends and family for reviews, for testimonials. There are going to be testimonials on how you took care of their pets, or how you take care of your pets, or how you're an animal lover. Anything on your profile that can make you stand out a little bit, or make you seem a little bit more trustworthy than having no reviews. Next, I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to get more bookings, how to earn more money, how to become that star pet sitter that you've always wanted to be. I wrote down quite a few notes here because over the years, I've had quite a lot of pet visits, dog walks, house sitting. I've done this for quite a while, so I have a lot of tips for you guys. And for these tips, I'm mostly going to be talking about Rover because that's where I get most of my bookings. First tip is to keep your calendar updated. So on Rover, you have basically a 2-week calendar that you can update every day, every few days, every few weeks. It will help boost your profile in the search results if you update your calendar regularly. So every time I go on Rover, which is probably every few days, I will update my calendar, especially during the holiday season when you know that people are going to be looking for pet sitters. make sure that you keep your calendar updated because it will show people that you're active on the site and that you're available to take their bookings. Second tip is to give and receive reviews. So on Rover, you can give the pet owners and the pets reviews of how your booking went, and they can also review you. I don't think it's mandatory, but most pet owners will give you a review. If they don't, you can ask them, and I'm sure they'd be happy to provide you a review if you've done well. Next tip is always keep in touch with the pet owners during your booking. So let's say you're doing a multiple night house sit. You should keep in touch with them every day, every few days, send them photos and videos of how the pets are doing, how you're doing, and keeping that open line of communication is very important so that, the owners know how their pet is doing and how you're getting along with them, and it just makes you more trustworthy. It makes them feel like their pets are safe with you, which is what everyone wants. On Rover, with drop-in visits and dog walks, you are required to send what's called a Rover card. So in this card, you basically check off if they've got food, water, if they've peed, if they've pooped, and what they did. You can send photos and videos and just give a little summary of how the booking went and how the pet is doing. All you have to do is just send some photos, but if you give a little bit of details, if you have like a few sentence summary, it's better than just photos, and you're more likely to get a higher review. Next tip, especially on Rover, and especially if there's a lot of competition, be sure to respond to booking requests fast. So a lot of people will go on Rover and search for sitters, and they may reach out to multiple sitters at a time. As soon as you get the booking request, try to respond to it as soon as possible. The faster you respond, it will increase your response time rate on Rover, which I believe you can see on your Rover profile. It will increase that rate. It will let owners know that you are active and you respond fast. And also, if you respond fast to any booking requests, you will probably get chosen first. Also, keep in mind that using these apps and how many bookings you get and how much you earn will all depend on your location. If you live in a small town where these apps are not very prominent, then you very likely won't get many bookings. There were a few small towns that I stayed at in Ontario before I moved to Nicaragua, before I moved to London, and Rover was available there, I think, but there was nobody who was looking for a pet sitter. On the contrary, if you live in a big city like London or Toronto, you are very likely to get booking requests and see a lot of owners reach out to you. In the big cities, you can charge a little bit more for your services than you can in smaller cities, and it also just really depends on the cost of living where you are, different pet sitters, how much they charge. It's very location dependent, and in this sense, you're very lucky if you live in a big city, and you're not so lucky if you live somewhere where Rover, Poshake, or any of these apps are not very prominent. Those are all of my tips. I believe that's everything I can think of. As I mentioned, I do have a few direct bookings. There are pros and cons to direct bookings. Obviously, with Rover and Poshake and all these apps, they do take a percent of your cut. So I believe Rover takes 15% of your earnings. But that's not all bad. Yes, you make a little bit less, but it gives the owners more peace of mind if you do go through Rover rather than just direct, because I believe Rover has a helpline. I believe you get access to vets, you have insurance. So it just gives the owners more of a peace of mind that in case anything were to happen, they're covered and you're covered, and there won't be any lawsuits or anything that happens if you don't have insurance. As opposed to if you book directly with someone, if you find them outside of these apps, if it's someone's pet in the neighborhood that you're looking after, unless you have insurance and you're a registered pet sitting business, then it can be a little bit risky because nobody is covered, and if something goes wrong, it's all at your hands. For example, there was one time where I was walking a dog and she was off leash in a park that she had always been to, and she's always been good off leash, but something scared her in the park and she ran away. And I ran after her, I called her, I tried shaking treats, I tried everything in my power to get her to come back to me, and she didn't. She ran. She knew the way home and she ran all the way home. She crossed the streets by herself. Let me tell you, I was so scared because with this client, it wasn't through Rover, it wasn't through any apps, and it was direct, and I didn't have insurance. And I was freaking out because I didn't know what to do if I couldn't find the dog, if the dog wouldn't come back to me, if the dog wasn't at home. I had no idea what to do. But thankfully, luck was on my side, and she ran back home, and I saw her at home, and all was well. But it just goes to show that it is very important to be covered and have peace of mind. And that's the really good thing about Rover. Now, this is probably everyone's favorite part. This is the juicy part. I'm going to be showing you guys my earnings, how much I made in December 2023 with dog walking, house sitting, and cat drop-in visits. Since December is, right in the middle of the holidays, it's Christmas, it's Boxing Day, a lot of people are going away and they're going to see their families. There is a very high demand for pet sitting. And my strategy, I've done this last year as well and I've made tons of money. My strategy is to take as many bookings as I can. I have learned last year that I took way too many bookings. On one day, I think I had 10 cat drop-in visits and I had to walk from place to place. It was crazy. It was a lot. So my strategy is to take as many bookings as I can. This year, I think I have 6 or 7 bookings in one day as like the maximum. I work in hospitality. I work for a small business and I'm normally off work from the 22nd or 23rd until the new year. So that gives me about a week and a half where I'm not earning any money. I turn my time off into money-making time, if that makes sense. I created a spreadsheet here with all of my bookings, with what they are, how much I've made, and the apps that I have used. I'm going to show you how much I made in December 2023 pet sitting. And I can assure you that this is real, this is not fake. I will even show you a little screenshot here of my Rover earnings, my upcoming earnings. Let's go to my spreadsheet and I'm going to show you how much I made. It's a very basic spreadsheet, but it does the job. I created this sheet just so I could keep track of all my bookings and payments and everything. So in total, as you can see this green number here, I'm getting paid £1,027. Now, this is before taxes and before Rover will take off the 15%, I believe, but it is very close to £1,000 what I'm making. I started the holiday pet sitting on November 25th, 9 bookings total. All of these people I have done pet sitting for previously besides 2 of them. So I have some direct bookings and some Rover bookings. I don't have any other apps. I don't have Pawshake. Pawshake comes close to Rover. Sometimes I do bookings on there, but Rover and direct bookings are mostly what I do. So I have the app, I have the amount they paid, I have the pet's name, the owner's name, and what they are. So first one I did was daily drop-in visits from November 25th to December 9th. This was direct bookings. I charge £15 per 30-minute visit, and I got paid £225 just directly straight in my bank account. That was amazing. I have this cat named Lenny who I look after every few months when the owners go away. December 9th and 10th, that's 2 days. I believe I charged £15 per visit, so that was £30. I got paid £28. That was paid already. Then December 17th to 28th, 1 drop-in visit a day. This is direct. I charge £15 per visit and it was £180 total. So for this client, he sent me half of the money before the booking and he will send me half of the money after the booking. Then I have another one on Rover, which the pet's name is Yo. She's a cute little, she's a little fluffy black cat and she is so adorable. I'm looking after her from December 19th to 24th. On Rover, I got £114 total. It has not been paid out yet, but it's in my Rover bookings. I'm very busy this week, so December 22nd to 26th, another direct booking, paying £75 total for 2 cats named Bodhi and Luna. Then December 22nd to 28th, This one is on Rover. I'm getting paid £133 for a cat named Theo. Then the house that I'm staying at right now for house sitting, December 23rd to 22nd. This is a direct booking because I have known this person for over a year now. We're very trustworthy with each other and I don't need to go through an app. I'm getting paid £200 total for this house sit for Dottie and Felix. So Dottie is the dog and Felix is the cat, and I'm staying overnight. I take Dottie for 2 long walks a day and I let her out into the garden whenever she wants. And for this one, I charged £40 per night. December 24th to 26th is another one for Lenny, which is the same cat who I did drop-in visits for earlier this month. I got paid £57 for 3 days versus £28 for 2 days. So as you can see, Rover's peak rate, I believe my peak rate is £19 per 30-minute visit instead of £15. Rover will automatically adjust your rate to the peak rate during the time, so you don't even have to worry about that. And then the last one for this month is December 26th. That is 1 visit. This is for a cat named Wallace, who I actually did the 2 weeks long of drop-in visits in November, December. This is just one. It's a direct booking. It was a very last minute one, just drop in on Boxing Day. Got paid £15 for that. So in total, £1,027 into my bank account. I am so happy and so grateful that I get to look after pets this holiday season. It's a win-win situation for everyone. It's a win for the owners because they know that I will be looking after their cats and dogs every day. It's a win for me because I'm getting paid when I otherwise wouldn't be. There's honestly no better way for me to spend the holidays than to look after a bunch of cats and dogs every day. Like, I love it. Sometimes I can't believe that this is what I do as a job, as a side hustle business. Like, I can't believe it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you got some insights on how to become a pet sitter, some tips and tricks, and how you can get started. And I hope you enjoyed my story and seeing how much you can earn during the peak holiday season for looking after cats and dogs. Obviously, your earnings will vary from mine. It will vary from person to person. It will vary based on where you are in the world and the apps that you use and how many bookings you take on. I could have taken on more bookings. I did get more booking requests, but I did cap it at 6 visits per day just because it is a lot. Like, let me show you guys my keys actually. These are all of the keys that I have, and it's not even all of them. There are a few that's not on this keychain. These are all of the keys that I am entrusted with for these cat visits. It's a lot. Anyways, that is the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below if you are a pet sitter or if you are looking into getting into pet sitting, and let me know, do you have any pets? Have you done this before? Have you used Rover, Trusted House Sitters, any of these apps? I would love to know your experiences. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos like this, and click that bell icon to get notified every time I post a video. Alright guys, enjoy the holiday season. It will probably be in the new year when I post this, but I hope you had an amazing holiday season, and I love you guys so much. I will see you in the next video. Bye!